Hello, good friends. Welcome to my video where I clean my house faster than is humanly possible due to the power of time-lapse photography. I'm so glad that you are here with me. I've got something a little different. Here I'm just going to show you cleaning up my kitchen just before I do the second half of a messy home tour, because I started and then I had to go and I couldn't show you the clean house, and I came back after a long trip and now I had to clean it again after the trip, So I hope you just have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you a little bit about everything I'm doing and things that are going on while you watch me clean my kitchen until the camera battery runs out, because that happened. And then I continued cleaning because I'm not going to stop cleaning because the camera battery ran out. You can see up in the microwave that I'm watching a video. And this time I was watching a history video about what life was like in Victorian England. I watch a lot of different kinds of videos. I like to watch cleaning videos. I like to watch science videos. I like to watch videos about how to make videos. And I like to watch history videos. I love history videos. I love history. I mentioned it in a lot of my other videos. I love history so much that I went back to school to study it. When I was 18, 19, when I went to college originally, I studied biology, and I loved biology. I love viruses and molecules. They called it molecular biology back then, but now I think they'd call it biotech now. I loved it. I still do. It was fascinating to me. But as I grew older, as I read fiction stories, as I read biographies and then histories, and wrote fiction stories and some nonfiction, I realized that people were more interesting than molecules because they can make choices, So, yeah, I went back to school and I was studying history, the methodology, and one of the professors asked me, "So you used to study science, why did you change to history?" That seemed like a huge change, and it is in a lot of ways, but when I actually got there, I learned that history, like science, it takes careful methodology and careful study and getting all the primary evidence together and using logic. So, yeah, I loved the process of history, and I loved the stories that came out of it. You wouldn't believe what kind of stories you can get out of a ledger, out of financial papers. Still, going back to school was hard. I was in my mid-40s when I went back to school, and that was kind of crazy. I was old enough to be the mother of most of the students there. Some other students were later in life learners like I am, but it was kind of awkward in that way sometimes. And, the brain's not quite as quick when you're older, but I still loved it. I kept at it because I felt like the stories I was learning about was important. And the history that I really connected with, that I love now, is women's history, and not just the history of great women, though I love those stories. They're amazing. But the history of domestic life, of homemaking, and I like to call it homemaking more than housekeeping, because we're creating a space, a home, a sanctuary. And that's important work. That's very important work. So the history of the everyday lives of making and maintaining and keeping homes. That is what was fascinating and is still fascinating to me today. So, yeah, we get these freeze-dried liver treats for our dogs, and they're too big for me to think of them as like training treats. So I always cut them down into much smaller bits. And also I use them to help our picky eater Sputnik eat his food. So I was taking a while there to fill up that whole jar with the doggy treats, and I even sped it up even more than the rest of the stuff because it wasn't like interesting to look at me just stand there filling that up. I studied midwifery, the history of midwifery and the history of women and medicine and doctors, and there's just great stories there. But what was interesting, what I learned was that medicine was a social and a domestic thing a lot more than it was a scientific thing back in the day, before the modern ages. But I digress. Yes, I love history. I went back to school and I wanted to write books, and I have realized that fewer people are reading books and they're watching videos, and so I wanted to show people. Because really, it wasn't about writing books. It was about telling the stories. And knowing the stories of those who have gone before, it can be inspiring. It can be informative. It helps us to not take things right now for granted. And I have also found that knowing history, knowing the longer span of how things have changed, knowing that we have been in a tough spot before, and we can make it through this tough spot now, has been very reassuring to me in this modern age. So I don't really want to be a cleaning guru in this channel. I'll still do videos where I'm cleaning, but instead of just telling you about why I'm cleaning or what I'm doing or how I'm decluttering, once I get through with this journey of decluttering my home, of getting myself into a system of habits that I will keep my home clean and functional and tidy and a sanctuary for my family and myself. Once I've gotten to that journey, after that it gets boring. Unless we're talking about how did they do it before. That's interesting. And maybe we have things to learn from that because, if we learn how people did things before, maybe we can do some of those things a little bit more like that and not be so reliant on, maybe big corporations giving us the stuff that we have to keep our house clean with. Becoming more self-sufficient in our mind, becoming more intentional in the way that we do things. I think we should learn from every aspect that we can and become lifelong learners. You don't have to go back to school to become a lifelong learner. I think a lot of us are doing it on YouTube, right? There's so many interesting things and people are teaching us, and I love it. I love that I can have a question and go on YouTube and there's some kind of expert there that can give me the answer, right? For almost anything. So that's why I decided to bring my history into YouTube. This isn't going to be my main history channel. I think it will become kind of a behind the scenes channel of my history channel. And you guys will get to see how that develops. But I still will bring up like back in the day, they didn't have to recycle because there was no such thing as easy cardboard boxes that were created. They just used the same basket over and over again. And when it was over, I don't know, they threw it in the trash heap. That was a lot. I don't know exactly when my camera stopped recording, but I just kept on putting down the boxes and getting them, most of it, into the recycle. I also had papers, and so this looks so much better. I'm so happy about getting that done. It's not a job I really expected to be doing, but I just looked over there and said, not one more day. No, I'm tired of it. Even though I'm so tired, I'm just gonna get it, all those boxes put down so I could put them in the recycle. Some of them get to hang out in the garage until garbage day again because the recycle's too full, but that will happen, that will happen. So I hope you enjoyed that little foray into cleaning my kitchen. I didn't do anything else because it was kind of an in-between thing, you know, kind of a different kind of video. Yeah, I think I got a lot done in the kitchen today, more even than I usually did. Really kind of deep cleaned a few things. I really got to scrubbing my counters and then getting all those boxes taken care of. Oh, that is just a relief. Very much a relief. And it makes me like this much happier. I hope you guys have a wonderful day and go conquer your mess.